Hi. You said feel your own feelings, but, and I don't know if this is just I'm avoiding it, but I have felt that like I was feeling my feelings, and then all of a sudden I'm feeling somebody else's experience, and I say, no, I'm not feeling that, because that's not my experience. Should I still, even though I feel it's not my experience, that it's in me and I should just continue?
Definitely not. You've got to understand that every time you are feeling somebody else's experience, it's because you were choosing to not feel your own.
Right. So at one stage, while I felt like I was feeling my own feelings...
And then all of a sudden it turned into someone else's experience.
Yes.
Now there was something in between those that transition that occurred where you didn't want to feel anymore.
Okay, there was that.
Does that make sense?
Yeah, I get you, yes.
And that's what you've got to identify. What caused the switch between you feeling yourself and then you feeling someone else?
Right.
Does that make sense?
Any hints on how to do that? Because it just seems like seamless.
Well, yeah, often when we begin it does seem seamless, like it seems like, it just happened. But it never just happens.
Yeah. Okay.
It always happens through a choice you make in your heart, the feeling in your feelings. So you might start feeling a certain thing, and I'll give you some clues as to what it could be, but I need you to feel about it, because in the end you're the one who's got to be responsible for determining why you're trying to get away from your own feelings. Sure. Does that make sense?
Yep.
But sometimes it's because we start feeling something, it feels like it's going to be too intense.
Yes, yes.
Right? And so in that moment, we're now terrified, so what do? We go into... We're telling ourselves still, though, it's good to feel, it's good to feel.
Yeah.
But we've already just started avoiding our own feelings.
Right.
So who's going to come along and help us feel? Or feel something through us? Probably a spirit of some kind come along, connect to us, feel something through us. That just before we made that choice, that switch, we need to see what we did. It could be another belief, like it could be, I shouldn't have to feel this. Just that feeling, I shouldn't have to feel this. Right. Causes me to attract somebody else feeling their stuff through me. Or it could be, I'm feeling this because I know it's the only way to grow, so I have to do it.
Have to do it.
I have to do it. The attitude of I have to do it is always generally going to attract somebody else doing it through you.
That's my big emotion, I have to do this.
Yeah. You either want to or you don't. Which one is it? Right? So for the majority of people who start to feel emotions regarding their childhood abuse, they feel a little bit and then it starts feeling a bit intense, and so then they don't feel like they want to. Here, in their heart, they don't feel like they want to, but they feel like they have to. So they try to force themselves now to feel something that they don't want to feel anymore, rather than acknowledging they don't want to. Right? In that process, oftentimes a spirit will come, overcloak the person, and the spirit will feel its emotions through the person. Does no good to you at all. You can process for hours like that and you'll process nothing. And you'll just create a mess, generally, in your life if you keep doing that, right? So that's not much good for you. What you need to do instead is you need to go, okay, stop. I can feel this is somebody else's emotion now. Stop. And then ask yourself, what happened just before the transition occurred? Just before the transition, when you were feeling your own stuff and then you were feeling somebody else's. What happened in there? What caused that transition? A lot of times what causes it is we desire somebody else to feel with us. So we want people to share in our emotions with us. This is a big problem actually for many people who have been abused. They want people around them who have not been abused to understand their abuse. To be honest with you, if you've been abused, no one around you who has not been abused will ever understand what it feels like, because they haven't experienced it. They're not going to understand. So it's impossible for them to understand what you've been through. So why are you trying to have them understand? Can you see that that has to be an addiction to have a sharing of the experience? A feeling that if you share the experience and they understand that they'll approve of it somehow or approve of you somehow. There's some addiction involved in that. And every time an addiction switches into play, you'll move from feeling your own feelings to sharing an experience with somebody else. Does that make sense? Yeah. And most people, it happens within the first 5 seconds of feeling. They start being overwhelmed by a feeling, and within 5 seconds later, they're already feeling someone else's feelings. Right? Because that's how strongly they want to avoid their own feelings. Right? Okay.